Tonight we're going over some of my favorite non-franchise slasher movies out there. No sequels, no remakes. The first one we're talking about is a movie called Just Before Dawn. This movie was directed by Jeff Lieberman and was inspired by the movie Deliverance, although they do leave out the squeal like a pig scene in this movie, so you don't have that to worry about. I'm pretty sure. It's about a group of friends that go to the mountains in Oregon to do some camping on some property that one of them recently inherited. One of the things that I really like about this movie is that it has one of the most reasonable sounding harbinger of doom characters that I've seen in a movie. Typically, it's someone that's covered in dirt, they've been wearing the same clothes for months, and probably stink like shit. But this guy is just a nice-looking park ranger that spends time with his horse, and he grows plants inside his house. He's not smoking meth or snorting fent or anything. The guy that inherited the land is just like, hey, get the fuck out of my face. This is my property now. I live on these mountains. And they completely ignore his warning, of course. The cold open for this movie starts off with a bang. We just see these hillbilly killers attack these hunters, and they even chop off one of the hunters' dongs right off the bat. So that's always a great way to start out your movie. If you're going to do a dick removal, you might as well do it at the beginning and get it out of the way. This movie was pretty hard to find when I first saw it, but it is worth tracking down. I think I eventually landed on a really shitty quality version of it that was on YouTube, probably still is on YouTube. I clicked off of it and was trying to find some other versions out there wherever I could on the internet, but I think the second best one I found was in Spanish, and I'm not that deep into Duolingo yet. I haven't figured out that much Spanish yet, so I'm still working on it. Eventually I'll be able to watch the illegal streams that are just straight up in Spanish, but for now we'll take the YouTube shit quality. It looks like someone's pissing in your eyes the whole time. And the thing that got me with the YouTube version that I watched was that some of the audio is missing pretty early on. And it's like when the friends are driving to the mountains in the camper. So it's when you're kind of getting to know the characters. And I didn't want to miss out on that. So I think I went from YouTube to a random stream that I found on Google and then back to YouTube because the random stream eventually turned to Spanish, I think. It's really a really strange way to watch this movie. I need to just probably buy a bootleg copy of it somewhere or something because I couldn't track it down. And this movie came out in 1981. It feels like a great addition to some of the well-known exploitation movies out there like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes. There's also a great final girl sequence in this movie and a really unexpected finishing move at the end. So Just Before Dawn, definitely worth a watch. It's worth tracking down. The second movie on my list is going to be High Tension. This is a movie I've talked about before. I have a video up about High Tension comparing it to the Dean Koontz novel Intensity because this is essentially an unofficial adaptation of Intensity. I'm also going to be putting out another video right after this diving in to the twist at the end of High Tension. So if you're curious about that at all, check that video out. What else was I going to say? And this is the only movie on this list that almost breaks the rule of being a non-franchise, non-sequel, non-remake criteria that I'm going for here. Not because it really has any of those things, but there is a made-for-TV movie version of Intensity out there that I haven't seen yet. So eventually I'm going to watch that, probably do another video about that, comparing Intensity the movie to High Tension the movie, and see how they stack up, see how they match together. But I don't think that really counts for what we're doing here tonight. So this movie came out in 2003. It's also known as High Tension, and this is a brutal French slasher directed by Alexandre Aja. Two college friends, Marie and Alex, they travel to Alex's rural family home for a quiet study weekend before finals. That peace and quiet is quickly disrupted when a sadistic killer breaks into the house in the middle of the night, murders Alex's whole family in one of the most brutal killings in a movie that you can imagine. It's pretty intense. It's worth mentioning that this movie has one of the most wild introductions to a villain in any movie that I've seen. So basically, the killer that we're following around is this like short, stocky guy that drives around in this big ass Jeepers Creepers truck. And right away, after I think we see a little bit of the two ladies driving together, and then we cut to this guy in his truck fucking a severed head. and he throws the head out the window. And that's how you get to know this guy right off the bat. And when you see him, he's just like this short, stocky, like potato build guy, Mr. Potato Head ass looking guy. He's just on like a nonstop killing spree throughout the movie. It's crazy ass movie. Where are we? So after Alex's family is killed, she gets abducted. Marie escapes and pursues the killer, determined to save her friend. What follows is a tense, bloody game of cat and mouse through isolated countryside, gas stations, and back roads. What really stands out to me in this movie is the pacing and the gore. So once it starts, it never stops. This movie just goes and goes, and it feels like you're just sprinting through this movie the whole time. And as far as the gore goes, it's part of the new French extremity wave. I believe the R-rated version is on Tubi. If you want to get the full effect, check out the unrated version. It is a nasty one. One of the things that really adds to the tension of this movie is the lack of dialogue. It really does its job by just using visuals and background noises. And even though it does kind of keep this frantic pace, I feel like the movie knows when to slow down enough to let that tension build. And I think that's what makes this movie a really great watch. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a twist ending that I'm not going to talk about right now. I'm going to dive into that in another video that I'm about to record right after this. Basically, I just kind of wanted to go over why I think the twist ending is misunderstood. It's something that I see a lot of people complain about. It's one of the things that Roger Ebert really hated about this movie. So I want to dive into that a little bit more and maybe clear some things up, or at least give my point of view on it. Because I feel like the twist ending in this movie almost has gained a reputation for ruining the movie, and I just don't think that's the case. I don't agree with that. The third movie on the list is going to be The Prowler. This is a 1980s classic. It came out in 1981, directed by Joseph Zito, with legendary gore effects by Tom Savini. This movie takes place in a small town during a graduation dance. The film follows a group of students celebrating their big night, but decades after a tragic wartime love triangle ended in a murder, a mysterious figure in military gear returns to seek revenge and kill everybody's asses. So while this party's going on, the killer, he's just stalking around the whole town. He's fucking everybody up, picking off victims using a bayonet, pitchfork, and other brutal weapons. A local sheriff and a resourceful student begin piecing together the connection between the past and the present before the night turns into a full-blown massacre. So if that sounds like something you're into, definitely check out The Prowler. This movie has incredible special effects. Some of the most brutal Tom Savini effects out there. I would have to go through and watch like a highlight reel of Tom Savini effects to know for sure. But after watching this one, I was like, God damn, this has to be the best Tom Savini effects out there. And I don't know. I'd have to think about like his zombie movies, his Friday the 13th movies, everything else that he's done and worked on. Creepshow. Too many great special effects moments to just think of on the top of my head. I'd have to put a list together just for that. Maybe that'll be an upcoming video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a Tom Savini effects ranking in the near future. And there are a couple of kills in this movie that I think are unforgettable. Maybe even 3. Well, I don't know. All the kills in this movie are extremely effective. The 2 that always stand out to me are there's a guy that gets a bayonet through the top of his head, and there's a lady that gets pitchfork stabbed in the shower. And both of those effects are just like mind-blowing. Like, how did you pull this off with the way that it looks? Some of the best work out there as far as like practical 80s effects. And this movie does feel like very grounded in reality, which I think makes the kills that much grittier, like that much more impactful. There's not like a supernatural killer in this movie, you know. It's a World War II vet that's covered from head to toe in like this green military outfit. He's even got his face covered up with some damn green mesh, if you know what I'm saying. And it was also pretty uncommon to have a World War II vet as the villain, even for 1981. The more obvious choice would have been a Vietnam vet, because that war was more heavily criticized than World War II. One of the things that this movie does really well is the slow burn. It has more of like a stalking pace and atmosphere to the whole movie, and also some pretty decent red herrings. I mean, the movie's basically a whodunit. You're kind of guessing the whole time, like, who's in that World War II outfit, really? Who could that be in there? Is it Old Man Jenkins? Is that you, motherfucker? And as far as the whodunit vibe goes, it feels similar to like a Scream reveal to me almost when we get to the end. It's all connected to this small community. You'll understand when you watch the movie. I think this one's also on Tubi. Tubi the Go, obviously. That's where you can see all these movies, apparently. I saw that it was maybe on Netflix, but I don't know if that's accurate or not. I didn't really check. I was just kind of doing a little Google search to see where to recommend watching these movies at. Of course, Tubi. I think that's where I watched most of these, honestly, was Tubi. So go Tubi. Also, Apple TV popped up for any motherfuckers out there that use Apple TV. It's any of these sorry bastards out there watching TV on fucking Apple TV. Jeez, sorry sack of shits. Get a fucking Tubi account, motherfuckers. It's free. And the last movie we're going to be talking about in this video today is the movie Curtains, which has one of the sickest cover arts that I've ever seen in my life. It's got like a fucking melty ass face with a little doll sticking out in the middle, like where the mouth is, and the melty ass face kind of looks like curtains opening up. It's fantastic. And you think like, oh damn, is this going to be a killer doll movie? It's not. It's not. There is a doll in it though. So there's that. Curtains is a Canadian slasher film that came out in 1983, directed by Richard Kwaipaka. I cannot say. It's Kiopka? How the fuck do you say that guy's name? Richard. Dick Cupcake is what this guy's fucking name looks like to me right now. A group of actresses are invited to a secluded mansion to audition for a mysterious and demanding director. Each woman is competing for the same role, and tensions quickly rise as their personalities clash. But the real danger isn't just the competition. Someone wearing a creepy, expressionless hag mask begins stalking and killing the actresses one by one. As paranoia builds, it becomes clear that anyone could be the killer or the next victim. God damn. It's a great little synopsis right there for this fucking movie. It also has a great cold open, which I think it really like sets up the movie. I remember starting this one off and just thinking, what the fuck's going on right now? You think somebody's getting killed. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're acting. Who knows? But the way it kicks off is great because this lady who is an actress that's trying to get this role, this guy basically tricks her into committing herself into a mental institution, and then he ditches her ass so that he can invite all these other women to try out for this role that she was going to get. But then she gets out of the mental institution. She shows up to the big audition. It's like it's almost like a real world Road Rules type of situation because they're all living in the same house. They're all competing for this role. It's a really fantastic setup, honestly. And the thing that I really like about this movie is that it is a straight up traditional whodunit. It feels like the horror version of the movie Clue, which is just an adaptation of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. So there's something that feels really classic about all of that. I mentioned the hag mask earlier. That is one of the things that really makes this movie stand out. It's one of the eeriest, most underrated slasher looks. This mask not only appears on the killer, but during the auditions as well, so it really puts each character in the position as a potential red herring. This movie does have a dreamlike quality to it at moments because a lot of characters' dreams will be shown and they'll kind of bleed into reality. Like you're not sure, like, okay, is this just something that's happening right now? And then it'll end up being a dream. But they do it really well. It doesn't feel like super corny or anything because what's happening in the dreams doesn't seem that realistic. Like it almost seems like, what the fuck's going on here? Well, is this like some supernatural evil doll shit now? No, it's just a dream. Because this movie's living in reality, okay? There's no evil dolls in this movie. I'm just going to go ahead and spoil that for everybody that's trying to watch evil doll movies all the time. But if you are trying to watch a creepy doll movie, there is a little creepy doll in this movie that enters the movie pretty early on. This thing just kind of looks like a big ass American Girl doll, but instead of like having a nice looking face, it's got this like creepy ass looking frown for some reason. And I don't know if there's really any significance to it. I don't think there was, but it does like start popping up in some interesting ways that just makes you ask more questions and makes you think like, is this going to be connected to anything or any of the characters? Who knows? It's a mystery. The thing about this movie that's going to stand out the most is the ice skating scene, I would say. It's this haunting chase where this lady, one of the ladies that gets invited to the house, her profession is that she's an ice skater. I didn't mention this, but every woman that's invited to this house has like a different profession. They're not all even actors. They're just like, you know, some of them are one of them's like a musician, one of them's a gymnast, one of them's an ice skater, one of them's a professional skateboarder, one of them a professional dick beater, professional ass eater, professional clown, professional dog sitter. And there is something about this movie that feels satirical, like it's almost poking at the acting industry, because you're kind of seeing like, how far will these women go for this role? Are they willing to kill each other for it? Some of them might be. Overall, it has more of an eerie feel to it than explosive. It leans into quiet dread, strange imagery, and psychological unease rather than non-stop gore. This movie is almost bloodless, which is impressive when a slasher can resist making the movie and effects real. It feels cold both literally and emotionally, and it also takes place during the winter, if you know what I'm saying. So extra cold. And hey, guess what else? This movie's also on fucking Tubi. Get your ass to Tubi. The real fucking deal. I also think you can see this one and several of these other movies on the Night Flight app. They always have a bunch of wild ass movies on there. It's where I've found some of the greatest cult classics out there. So shout out to Night Flight. Let me know if you check any of these movies out. If you have any non-franchise slashers to recommend, leave them in the comments below, because we're definitely going to do a part 2. Sign up for my Patreon to help out the show. Thanks for listening. Good night.